I never imagined the girl I saved would hold the secret that changed everything. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It started like any other Saturday, bright and cloudless, but that morning had a strange stillness in the air. The world felt charged, like the calm before a storm. I was at the park, my daughter, Ellie, chasing butterflies, her laughter ringing like music. But then, the laughter stopped. A scream shattered the silence. I turned, my heart racing. A small girl, no more than 7, stood at the edge of the pond, her face contorted with fear, her tiny hands scrabbling against the slick ground. "Help!" she cried. Without thinking, I dashed toward her, adrenaline surging through me. The water was murky, thick with algae and secrets. I reached for her, my fingers brushing against her outstretched hand. The moment my skin connected with hers, a jolt ran through me, like static electricity sparking between two worlds. I pulled her up, cradling her against my chest, the warmth of her body contrasting the chill of the water that clung to me. But then I noticed something odd. As I held her, there was an unusual glow emanating from her. It shimmered softly, like sunlight bouncing off water, yet it felt heavier, charged with something I couldn't pinpoint. The girl looked up at me with wide, fearful eyes, and there it was, a flicker of recognition, a hold on my heart that I couldn't explain. "Where are your parents?" I asked, my voice trembling. She didn't answer. Instead, I noticed her fingers were stained, not with mud, but with something darker blood. Panic fluttered in my chest. Had she been hurt? Before I could speak again, she whispered, "They're coming." I felt cold. Her words sent a shiver down my spine. Who was coming? And why did she look so afraid? Ellie stood back, her brow furrowed, gripping her toy tightly. In that moment, everything felt wrong. As I searched for answers in the girl's eyes, a shadow fell over us. A figure emerged from the trees. Tall and menacing, it exuded an unsettling presence, like an omen. The air thickened. The girl's body trembled in my arms. "Run!" I shouted to Ellie, who didn't hesitate. I pulled the girl closer, the weight of her secret heavy between us. "Please," she pleaded, her voice a whisper now, "don't let them take me." Every instinct screamed to protect her. I had saved her from the water, but what had I pulled her from? My heart pounded as I glanced over my shoulder at the advancing figure, its face obscured by shadows. What had just begun felt monumental, all those questions, all that fear. A hidden truth was swirling between us, and I could sense it. I could feel it. What would happen when it surfaced? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. I'm not sure how we made it to the car. Everything felt like a blur, the frantic beat of my heart, the echo of Ellie's footsteps as she hurried to my side, and the fading glimpse of that ominous figure. In the rush, the girl's small body was warm against me, but there was a rough edge to her fear I could not shake. As I fumbled with the keys, my hand trembled. The reality of what had just happened loomed larger than any storm. I couldn't shake the feeling that something more significant than a simple rescue lay beneath the surface. The girl's eyes held a weight that suggested not just trauma but a history, her past woven into the fabric of this tangled moment. "Who are they?" I asked her, my voice barely above a whisper after all the chaos. She shivered but did not answer. Instead, she pressed her face into my shoulder, as if seeking solace from the confusion swirling around us. "Ellie, get in the back," I instructed sharply, the fear in my voice surprising even me. I felt the rush of parenthood, protection, urgency, the drive to shield my child from whatever darkness was lurking just out of sight. Once the doors were shut and I was in the driver's seat, I took a deep breath, easing the car into motion. Ellie glanced over the seat, concern etching her features. "Is she okay, Daddy?" I wanted to say yes, to reassure her, but when I caught a glimpse of the girl in the rearview mirror, I knew the truth was more complicated. Her face was pale, and her eyes were wide, flickering between panic and something I couldn't name, a depth that sent chills through me. "Well, help her," I said, forcing the words past my lips. "Well, figure this out." My heart ached as I realized I had no idea how. The drive felt like an eternity, every passing moment weighed down by unasked questions. I finally steered us toward the old cafe downtown, a familiar spot that seemed safer, brighter. I parked under the dappled shade of a tree, the sunlight filtering through the leaves, casting a warm tone across the pavement. "Stay here. I'll get us something." I stepped out but glanced back at my daughter. "And keep an eye on her." Ellie nodded, her small hands gripping the edge of her seat as if she could physically ground the girl beside her. Inside, the cafe buzzed with life. I could hear laughter mingling with the clinking of spoons against porcelain cups, and for a brief moment, I envied their normalcy. I ordered frantically, standing impatiently at the counter, heart racing as the barista prepared my order, my mind racing back to the mystery girl. Would she still be here by the time I returned? When I brought the drinks back to the car, I found Ellie holding the girl's hand, both of them seemingly oblivious to the world outside. It should have comforted me, but instead, an unsettling sensation washed over Meth Girl's fingers twitched as though she felt trapped beneath rising tides. "I got some hot chocolate for both of you," I said, handing them the cups, my eyes scanning the surroundings for anyone who might recognize the girl or be searching for her. She took a sip but didn't speak, and I could feel her gaze weighing heavily on me, questioning yet pleading. "Can you tell us your name?" I ventured gently, my voice softening. The way she flinched at the question told me that whatever she carried inside was too big to share. It wasn't just about the fear of being taken, it was more profound, a hidden treachery. "Lila," she finally whispered, the name uncoiling from her lips like a delicate thread. I couldn't help but feel a sense of responsibility, not just for her safety, but perhaps for her truth. "Lila," I repeated, testing the sound. It felt fragile, precious. "What happened? Why were you in the water?" But as if the wind had shuffled the leaves, her expression transformed, a stark recognition flashing in her eyes. I felt the sudden drop in the air, as though the universe had shifted. "Lila?" Ellie prompted, her innocent curiosity breaking through the tension that hung thick between us. "Are you lost?" And then it happened. Lila's face twisted in fear, her voice trembling as she replied, "They'll come for me. You don't understand. You have to help me." I felt a chill race through my spine. "Who will come for you?" Before she could respond, the silence was pierced by a distant sound, the low, ominous growl of an engine revving close by. I shifted in my seat, tension rippling through me as I turned instinctively towards the noise, every instinct flaring up. A sleek black car drifted down the street, stopping right outside the cafe. My heart pounded as I recognized the shape of the figure who emerged, a tall silhouette that matched the one from the park. "Stay down," I hissed, urgency fueling my command. Lila's eyes widened, and she grabbed Ellie's arm, holding tightly, fear coiling tighter around us. As the figure stepped into the light, I felt the air stutter, dread pooled in my stomach. I had no idea what was unfolding, but one thing became perfectly clear: whatever secret Lila held was about to thrust us into a darkness we might not escape. "Let's go," I breathed, but just as I turned the key in the ignition, a flash of unexpected kindness broke through the tension. A passerby, noticing our frozen panic, waved at us as they walked by, a simple gesture of reassurance, but it lit a small flame inside me. But was that flame enough to pierce through the impending shadow that lurked right outside? As the figure approached, looming like a storm cloud, I felt the weight of the unknown pressing in around us. With hearts in our throats, we faced the cliff of uncertainty together. As I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles turned white, the car idling in a haze of uncertainty and fear. The figure loomed closer, each step echoing in the stillness of my racing heart. My mind flickered between protecting Lila and Ellie and the nagging urge to flee, but the resolve I felt to shield them anchored me in place. "Please, stay quiet," I urged, my voice barely a whisper. Ellie nodded, her eyes wide and innocent, yet knowing far too much already. Lila, however, seemed engulfed in terror. Her breaths came in quick, frantic bursts, an undercurrent of panic threading through the atmosphere. I shouldn't have come here," she stammered, the tremors in her voice unraveling my already frayed nerves. I could see her mind racing, grappling with a fear beyond what any child should know. "Lila, listen to me," I implored, leaning back slightly to catch her gaze in the rearview mirror. "Wherever they are will keep you safe. But we need to know who they are." She shook her head violently, her dark curls catching the fading sunlight. "You don't understand. They're not just people." There before she could finish, the figure reached the car, tapping lightly against the glass. My heart stopped. I couldn't make out the face behind the tinted window, an expression obscured, but the air turned electric with foreboding. "Sir? Is everything okay?" The voice was smooth yet tinged with something sharp, an unsettling blend of authority and manipulation. I didn't recognize it, but something deep within me screamed danger. I turned slowly, the motor in my chest racing. "Everything is fine. We're just resting." The lie hung heavy in the air. "I see," the figure replied. "You seem to be in a bit of a quandary, though. Is there a reason why a young girl is hiding in the back seat?" My heart thudded, and I noticed Lila squeeze Ellie's hand tighter as if seeking solace from the impending storm. "Are you lost, honey?" The voice turned soft, almost cooing, but I could sense the underlying menace. "I can help you find your way." Lila turned her wide, fearful eyes towards me, a pleading look that seemed to scream, "Don't let them take me." I felt a weight settle on my chest, an awareness that whatever conversational game was unfolding hinged more on twists than truths. "Get away from my car!" I shouted, fighting against the cold dread that washed over me. The figure stepped back slightly, momentarily taken aback by my sudden outburst. "Just trying to be of assistance," the voice responded, oozing with false sympathy. "You wouldn't want to be mixed up in something you don't understand." "Like what?" I shot back, the adrenaline surging. "What do you know about her?" The figure merely smiled, but it was devoid of warmth, just another hard shell fashioned to mislead. "She belongs somewhere else, you see. And it would be quite unfortunate if someone were to stumble into matters beyond their control." "Why were you in the water, Lila?" I pressed gently, turning back to her quickly. I could hear the figure's laugh behind me, and it felt like icy fingers creeping over my shoulders. The mention of the water seemed to claw at Lila's composure. She trembled, her voice barely a whisper. I was hiding. They thought I would tell you." "Tell me what?" "I can't." Her voice broke, flooding with panic. "They told me the secret is dangerous, and if they find out, you know who?" I urged, desperate for any thread of clarity amid the chaos. Before she could respond, an unexpected kindness broke the suffocating tense. Iona server from the cafe stepped outside, holding a tray of pastries. She spotted us, her brow furrowing with worry. "Is everything all right? Mommy? Help!" Ellie cried, her voice sweet yet trembling. The server's eyes darted nervously to the figure outside the car, and something shifted in her expression. Without a moment's hesitation, she approached, sharply demanding, "What's going on here?" The figure turned to her, the charming smile melting into a mask of hostility. "It's fine. Just a little misunderstanding," but I could see the flicker of fear in the server's eyes as she addressed me, her voice steady yet urgent. "Get out of here. Get her out." Time slowed, and I felt the weight of the decision bearing down. Should we listen to the stranger? Could we trust a sudden ally, amidst clouds of uncertainty? Before I could answer, Lila's eyes shifted toward the figure, the pleading returned tenfold. "You have to leave. They can't know you. It's too late for me, but you can still run. Panic surged, the position of choice descending into chaos. And just like that, the moment snapped, fingers outstretched toward danger, hearts pounding with unvoiced intentions. The figure's demeanor shifted, and I felt an anguish ripple through the air as the tension thickened, wrapping around us like a sinister fog. With one hand on the ignition, and the other ready to push open the door, I had to decide, poised on the precipice of trust and the abyss of the unknown. Should I stand and fight or flee into uncertainty? Go! Lila screamed, her voice raw, reaching for something beyond her control. And in that moment, before the world erupted into chaos, I was caught in an emotional crossfire. In the silence of that frozen second, I realized the weight of what lay ahead was not just fear, it was the unknown truth, spinning closer like a tightly wound thread, tantalizingly close to breaking free. And as the figure stepped closer, eyeing my resolve, I understood all too well, the collision of our lives was only just beginning. As I sat there, everything around me became a blur: the car's interior, Lila's wide-eyed fear, Ellie's trembling frame, all fading into the background as my mind raced. The decision hanging in the air was suffocating, the tension refusing to relent. The server's urging to flee intertwined with Lilith's desperate plea, both colliding in a cacophony of instinct and trepidation. Get them out of here. The server insisted, her eyes darting between me and the figure. I could feel the knot in my stomach tightening, grappling with how deep this darkness ran. Let's go, please. We can't stay here, I urged, heart racing as I reviewed my options. The figure outside the car casually adjusted its stance, watching the unfolding drama with an unsettling calmness. I could feel the weight of his gaze pressed upon me, a knowing look that sent icy tendrils skittering down my spine, but just as I made my decision, a loud bang echoed through the air, a car door slamming shut in the distance. Everyone turned instinctively toward the sound. The figure's smile remained frozen, but tension coiled like a snake ready to strike. I could almost feel the pulsating energy of the impending confrontation crackling between us. Now! The server shouted, summoning a bravery I didn't feel. I slammed my foot down on the accelerator, but the engine sputtered in response, a frustrating reminder of how helpless we truly were. Please, hold on. I cried as panic bubbled within me, turning every nerve into a live wire. Ellie's small voice broke through my mounting fear. Mommy, what's happening? The innocence in her words brought a swell of emotion, deepening my sense of urgency. Everything is going to be fine, Ellie, I replied, the lie hanging heavily between us. My heart thudded against my ribs as I turned back to Lila. We have to get out of here, now. The figure smiled again, but it seemed more menacing now. You cannot run from the truth. You can't protect her forever. Shut up, I yelled, my words laced with a mixture of defiance and fear. The server leaned closer, her presence acting as a bruised shield against the encroaching darkness. I don't care what you know. I don't care what you want. You will not take her, will I not? The figure replied, the eerie calmness returning to the air around it like a chilling draft. That is not within your control. That I watched Lila, motherly instincts flaring. I had one chance to ignite it, a spark of resolve. Focus on me, Lila. Number 1, you did nothing wrong. Number 2, you keep Ellie safe, and it'll get us out of this. Emotions brimmed in Lila's eyes, and she nodded, the briefest flicker of courage igniting there. I looked back to the server. We trust you. Show us a way out. In an instant, the server turned, leading us towards the cafe. Hope swirled briefly within me, a warm light against the encroaching shadows. But the figure followed, a menacing specter lurking just behind us, as if it could taste the fear in the air. Opening the cafe door, the server rushed us inside, ushering us through the cluttered tables. The familiar scent of baking pastry filled my senses, blending with anxiety, creating a disorienting mixture I struggled to navigate. I know a back exit, she whispered, urgency and fear coloring her words. My heart thumped in response. Where? Now. I felt the world narrow to the rhythm of escape. With Lila clutching Ellie's hand, I could briefly forget the figure outside, as we ducked into the back room. The server led us to a narrow doorway, filled with dim light. Just through here, and then straight out. You'll be safe. I promise. Thank you, I breathed, gratitude spilling from my heart even as fear clung like a shadow. Would we be safe? Would this stranger keep her word? I wasn't sure we had a choice. The moment I stepped through the doorway, Lila's voice rang out in a tremor, I can't leave. I can't. Secret Lila. I gasped, panic rippling through me. We have to go. As soon as they find out. Her words cut off, panic creeping into every syllable. They'll come after you. Who, Lila? I shook her slightly, desperation flooding my voice. What secret? What are they? But before she could answer, a loud crash resounded from the front of the cafe, the sound of glass shattering and panic erupting. I spun around, fear taking hold as I realized the figure had followed us inside. Run! The server shouted, pushing us towards the exit just as the figure emerged from the gap, an expression of relentless determination cutting across its face. Everything dissolved into chaos around me. My heart raced, and with every beat, a sense of unreality deepened. This was not happening. The danger felt palpable, looming closer with every second. I can't let them take her. I can't let them take us. As we stumbled through the back exit, plunging into the cool night air, I turned back, heart pounding in my throat. Lila, what's the secret? But the only answer was Ellie's frightened wail and the echoing footsteps that chased us into the night. Time stretched into an unbearable moment where I realized our plight had just deepened into something I hadn't been prepared for. And as I yanked Lila and Ellie along, a realization washed over me. Had to learn the truth before it was too late. And just like that, a new wave of disquiet settled in my chest. We were moving forward, but toward what? The fear grew stronger around us, merging with an uncertain future that felt impossibly vast and yet dangerously close. It wasn't just about escape anymore, it was about the unveiling of secrets, each one poised to reshape everything we thought we knew. The alley was dark, the shadows hugging the walls tightly as we stumbled toward the distant glow of streetlights. My heart pounded in sync with the pounding of our hurried footsteps, each echo a reminder that we were being hunted. Lila's grip on my arm was tight as a vice, fueled by panic. As Ellie sobbed softly, clinging to her mother's side, the weight of the moment pressed down on us, summoning the specter of despair. Lila, please, I urged, glancing back toward the cafe entrance where the figure had vanished behind shattered glass. My mind raced with urgency. What did you mean about the secret? You have to tell me. She shook her head, her eyes wide with fear, glistening in the dim light. I can't. You don't understand. It's too dangerous. Just tell me. I implored, desperation shattering the walls of my composure. I can't protect you if I don't know what I'm up against. Lila hesitated, and for a moment, I thought she might break. But then, the stricken look on her face hardened, a reflection of the burden she bore. If I tell you, it might put you in more danger. It's not just about us. What do you mean? I felt the ground beneath me shift, uncertainty swirling like a storm inside. And then, a flicker of realization, a chilling understanding of how deep the roots of this predicament might go. The night air filled with an eerie silence, broken only by the sound of distant sirens. The gravity of her words lingered like a specter, demanding my attention. Please, Lila, I pressed gently, willing her to see the truth of our situation. We have to stick together. Whatever it is, I can help. Ellie, still trembling, looked up at her mother with wide innocent eyes. Mommy, is everything okay? The question cut deeper than I could have anticipated. Lila's fortitude seemed to shatter beneath that gaze. Ellie, sweetie, everything is going to be just fine, she said, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her certainty. We're going to figure this out, I promised, swallowing the thick lump of fear lodged in my throat. But first, we need to get away from here. Before Lila could respond, a chilling whisper flitted through the air around us. You truly believe you can escape, don't you? The figure emerged from the shadows, a dark cloak swirling around it as if the night was an extension of its being. It didn't just walk, it glided, an eerie fluidity that left an unsettling impression on my mind. Lila gasped, pulling Ellie closer to her side. The momentum of our escape screeched to a halt as the air thickened with dread. Run! I shouted instinctively, but it felt useless, like screaming against a tidal wave. Our options dwindled. Lila's hand squeezed mine as we faced the figure, the embodiment of every nightmare whispering in the darkest corners of our thoughts. Why won't you listen? It mused, the voice a melodic blend of mockery and sinister intent. I'm here to help you, to show you the truth, the truth. My voice broke, a mix of disbelief and anger. What truth could you possibly offer us? The truth about her, it said, nodding toward Lila, allowing the weight of its gaze to settle on her. The secret she guards so fiercely, the very heart of all this chaos. It's time she faced it. Stop it! Lila shouted, stepping protectively in front of Ellie. You don't have any power here, do I not? The figure's crooked smile twisted into something menacing. You are but one of many pawns in a game far beyond your comprehension. That we were frozen in place, the distance between us and the figure closing in like a noose. Ellie's tiny hand slipped into Lila's, her eyes wide and filled with a mix of fear and support for her mother. I felt the raw, aching need to shield them both, but a creeping despair whispered, taunting me with the knowledge that the revelation we were running from wouldn't simply vanish. Move! I shouted, pulling Lila toward a narrow street that branched away from the main road. The figure's inexplicable insistence, however, echoed in my mind. Behind us, lamenting laughter drifted on the wind, mockingly celebrating our futile resistance. As we turned the corner, the world fell into oppressive silence, thickening with the heavy scent of impending rain, but even with every step, a knot tightened in my chest. This wasn't just about fleeing anymore, it was about understanding the depth of our entrapment. The unspeakable fear shadowing Lila revealed a darkness that spiraled far beneath the surface, a darkness I felt compelled to unearth, even as every instinct warned against it. Suddenly, Ellie stopped, tugging on her mother and pointing at something glowing in the distance. Look, Mom! What's that? A flicker of light illuminated the dim alleyway, sending an electric jolt of uncertainty through me. Stay close, I urged, brushing my hand along my sidearm, reminding myself that we weren't completely powerless. Stepping forward, I squinted against the sudden glow that was washing over the wall. There was something etched there, something familiar and haunting. I moved closer, a torrent of confusion overtaking me as I reached out to touch the warm luminescent markings glimmering beneath my fingertips, and as I traced the delicate patterns, an undeniable rush of memories flooded through me, fragments of a night long lost in the haze of time. My heart raced with recognition, each pulse echoing against the chasm that had begun to rip open, a forgotten truth that clawed its way back to the surface, demanding to be acknowledged. This, I murmured, my voice barely above a whisper, this is connected. A dark realization hit me, a turning point I never anticipated. What had Lila shielded me from? What dangerous threads tethered our lives together? Just as I comprehended the magnitude, an electric shock jolted through my body, a warning that something was piercing the veil around us. In a heartbeat, I spun around, and the figure stood there, amusement dancing in its eyes. Welcome back to the game, it said softly, the shadows shifting, revealing the depths of a storm I'd only begun to understand. For all the hidden truths and unanswered questions, the realization hit me, resistance was growing futile. And everything was about to change. The air was thick with the scent of impending rain, mingling with the sweat of fear and anxiety pressing against my skin. The figure's presence loomed heavy behind me, but I couldn't afford to look. Lila's reaction was all that mattered. She remained frozen, her breath quickening as the light from the markings seeped into her eyes. Lila, I whispered, wanting to anchor her amidst the storm brewing inside her. We can't ignore this. It's a piece of something profound, but reality was an escalated pulse of adrenaline, and Lila's gaze flicked back and forth between the figure and the glowing sigils. No. She grabbed Ellie's hand. We have to keep moving. Before her fear could set us in motion, Ellie tugged at her mother's arm, her voice a soft, treble note cutting through the tension. Mommy, what if it's a message? What if it's about you? The weight of those words collapsed around us, coaxing fresh tears from Lilith's eyes. Ellie. Her voice wobbled, wavering as she fought against vulnerability. Maybe it'll help us understand. Ellie's innocent enthusiasm shimmered through the darkness, a flicker of light in our oppressive state. Please, let's just look. Lila looked down at her daughter, conflict swirling in her expression. A turbulent ocean of love, fear, and uncertainty battled within her. But it's dangerous, sweetheart. You don't understand that I do understand. Ellie insisted, her small voice somehow cementing her authority with a quiet strength. I'm scared too, Mommy, but the answers are right here. Taking a shaky breath, Lila closed her eyes for a brief moment. An unbreakable mirror of weighed decisions. Then she nodded slowly, her grip loosening on Ellie's hand as she stepped toward the glowing sigils. I felt a swell of hope surge within me, filling the void that terror had carved out. Maybe this was the moment, the very turn that could lead to understanding. With each step, the light grew warmer, almost welcoming, wrapping around our fears and confusion like a soft embrace. I moved beside Lila, letting the warmth seep through the chill of our circumstances. What do you see? I asked, attempting to anchor her with my voice, my presence. She leaned over the markings, whispering words I couldn't quite catch, lost within the depths of something larger, maybe the truth she had struggled to keep hidden all this time. The contours of her face shifted as flickers of realization crossed her features, flashes of understanding that illuminated the shadows beneath her skin. Don't you see? Her voice trembled as though awakening from a long sleep. These they tell a tale, something tethering me to. She paused, breath hitching just as she prepared to unveil secrets that had a hold on her for longer than I could comprehend. The figure shifted, a soft chuckle echoing through the alley, as if it found her revelation delightfully amusing. Ah, yes, dare to understand the legacy of choices unmade. No! Lila shouted, turning to face it, the fire igniting within her unwavering resolve. You aren't going to manipulate me any longer. Manipulation? The figure purred, an unsettling smoothness in its tone. I simply offer freedom. And yet, you cling so tightly to the chains of history. My heart raced with rising defiance. She doesn't need your twisted freedom. I stepped closer, placing myself between Lila and the figure, unyielding. We've faced enough danger, we won't let you sow more uncertainty. But then the glow intensified, illuminating the darkened alley in vivid hues. Lila's gaze snapped back to the sigils. No. Wait, look. This time, her voice held something less frantic and eerie calm. Symbols bloomed before us, revealing an intricate tapestry of connections. I leaned closer, recognizing my name entwined with hers, symbols coiling like vines around us, entangled in ways I had never fathomed. Lila, I breathed, realization crashing over me. This connects us. It's our past, and our future, and just as I felt the final threads of understanding reinforcing the bond we shared, the figure stepped forward, the air around us distorting as if the ground trembled beneath its weight. What you come to understand will not be pleasant. Courage may lead you to confront truths not worth bearing, or might it set you free. Before I could process its words, a noise pierced through the ominous air, something beyond our creeping dread. A distant cry rang out, echoing through the walls, a sound seeping through time itself. My pulse quickened, and as if on cue, Lila's face drained of color. That voice, she shuddered, and fear clawed anew at my insides. Lila? I asked, searching her eyes, where deep currents of worry played beneath the surface. Suddenly, a flicker of movement broke from the corner of my vision. The shadows shifted, and before I could react, the figure lunged into the obscurity, its laughter trailing behind like a distant memory chasing the night. No. I shouted. We need to stay together, but just as uncertainty choked the words in my throat, the alley brightened, the air shifted as what felt like a veil broke between us. The glow illuminated the markings, clustered tightly around a symbol I hadn't noticed before. It pulsed, radiating warmth, as if pleading for us to understand. The distant cry echoed again, closer this time, an urgent plea that sent shivers crashing through me. Lila staggered back as understanding flickered behind her eyes, illuminated by the surrounding light. Ellie? She whispered, but before I could reach out, a blinding surge pulsed from the sigils, casting us into brilliant white light, a stark contrast to the shadows that had enveloped our lives. I held on to Lila's hand, desperate, my heart thrumming with fear, hope, and an undeniable truth. Everything was about to change, and we might not all be together when it did. The question loomed above us like a storm: what awaited us beyond this glow? What sacrifice would we have to make? As the bright light engulfed us, time seemed to suspend in a breathless silence. I squeezed Lila's hand tighter, our fingers entwined as if stitching together the unraveling fabric of our reality. "Hold on!" I shouted, but my voice echoed back, dampened by the brilliance surrounding us. Suddenly, the light fractured, splintering into shards that danced around us like a constellation of stars. I caught a fleeting glimpse of the alley, dim shapes gliding through the glow, their features obscured, the figure from before among them, a phantom lurking just out of reach. But the overwhelming brightness pulled at our senses, leaving us momentarily disoriented and vulnerable. "Mommy!" Ellie's voice shattered the ethereal quiet, piercing through the disarray with the sharpness of a child's fear. My heart sank as I turned to look for her, panic flooding my chest. "Ellie!" Lila cried, her voice laced with desperation. "Where are you, sweetheart?" The radiant light shimmered, revealing the blurry outline of our daughter standing just a few feet away, trapped between the figments of our uncertainty. "I'm right here," she called out, her small voice tiny but brave. Yet, a tremor of fear lingered beneath her words. "Come to us," I urged, taking a step forward as Lila moved instinctively to reach out, but it felt like walking through molasses, each motion slowed by the sheer intensity of the luminous barrier separating us from Ellie. Then, in an instant, the brightness coalesced into an image, and the shield around us shimmered, dissolving momentarily to reveal fragments of the world beyond, a vivid, jarring reality where pain and struggle intertwined with flashes of hope. Faces appeared, strangers wrapped in vibrant colors, their expressions a mix of joy and sorrow, intertwined, whispering stories I could not hear but felt pulse through the air. "What is this?" Lila gasped, assessing the scene before us, a kaleidoscope of lives lived, each moment interwoven with another, a tapestry both beautiful and tragic. "It's like a memory of everyone who's ever been touched by this place." Her eyes were wide, drinking in the context around us, but gradually, the brilliance faded, leaving only Ellie in the panorama of shifting memories, her small figure glowing gently amidst the fading light. "Ellie, please!" Lila's voice trembled, eyes filling with tears as she reached out once more, her emotions colliding with every fleeting image around us. "Don't be afraid, baby, we're coming." In a breath that felt almost sacred, a single moment stretched out. Ellie, still illuminated, took a step toward us, her determination echoing Lila's struggles. But as she approached, the veil shimmered ominously, threatening to cloak her once more. My heart wrenched at the sight. "Ellie, no!" I screamed, panic throbbing behind my temples. I felt a magnetic pull drawing her away, as if the very light had a will of its own. "Stay with us," but the moment faded, collapsing into the darkness again, the warmth dissipating into a chilling apprehension. As the brilliance vanished, I turned to Lila, desperation clouding my vision. "We have to figure out how to bring her." A shiver snaked through the alley, and a shadow emerged from the disarray, the figure materializing once again, triumphant. Ah, how quaint the ties that bind! It gazed at us with an unsettling mixture of amusement and disdain. "You think you can choose who stays and who goes? Who exists within this tapestry? Choices made long before your time." "Echo still, shut up!" I yelled, stepping forward, fists clenched. "We're not afraid of you, but you should be." The figure's voice rippled through the air, its presence cold and suffocating. "You think love will guard you from sacrifice? From understanding what you must face?" Lila's hand slipped from mine as both of us recoiled from the figure's words, reality collapsing around us. "What do you mean?" she whispered, her voice barely audible over the thrumming silence that followed. "Every choice echoes," the figure hissed, its form distorting into shadows that flickered like flames. "Every life entangled has a price. Yours is not the first to bargain." the weight of those words sank like stones in my chest. What do we have to lose? I asked, voice steadying despite the storm roiling within. More than you can imagine, it replied, an unsettling grin beginning to form, but at that very moment, a pulse of energy surged through the air, igniting small orbs of light that swirled around us, illuminating the shadows like fireflies, and from within, I could sense the thread connecting Lila to Ellie, fragile yet unbreakable. Lila! I shouted, as she stepped back, her eyes widening. We have to trust each other. We can find her, together. In that heartbeat, a flicker of resolution ignited in Lila's gaze. Ellie needs us. She turned back to the figure, summoning all the strength she could muster. You don't understand what a mother would do for her child, the figure laughed, but it was a hollow sound, reverberating against the walls that now seemed to close in around us. Haven't you figured it out yet? The truth is worth shattering, for your path will be riddled with danger, and sacrifices summoned by your heart's desires. And just as the shadows closed in, I felt the air surge, a force lifting us both, Lila and I, intertwined in purpose as we stood against the unsettling figure. We won't let you take her, I yelled, determination flooding my veins. But as we braced ourselves for whatever lay ahead, my heart raced with fear. What would we have to face to save Ellie? And what had we already set in motion? The echoes of our choices began to unspool, and I couldn't shake the feeling that a reckoning loomed ahead, threatening to fracture our world forever. The only certainty was that we had to confront the truth, no matter how painful it might be. The air crackled as the figure melted back into the shadows, leaving Lila and me reeling in a swirl of uncertainty. I could still feel the warmth of the energy that had engulfed us, but it had grown thin and fragile, leaving a stark contrast to the chilling echoes of the phantom's warning. Time seemed to warp as we stood there, just holding on to each other, breathing in and out, while the flickering orbs of light glimmered wisps of hope and despair. Jake, Lila uttered, her voice shaking as she clutched at my arm. What did it mean? She paused, her throat constricting as if the very denial of the possibility twisted her words. What did it mean that the truth is worth shattering for? I looked into her eyes, searching for answers I didn't have. I don't know, I finally replied, my words heavy with dread. But we have to find Ellie. Whatever we have lost, whatever this person is threatening, it doesn't matter. We'll find her. But with every breath I took, I felt the weight of the figure's cryptic proclamation wrapping tighter around my chest, squeezing the hope from my heart. Sacrifices summoned by our desires. What could that even mean? The fear of what lay beyond this strange place loomed large, and my lingering doubts turned ugly. What if saving Ellie required something terrible? Drawing a deep breath, I focused on the radiant tendrils of light that swirled around us, imagining them as threads connecting us to our daughter. We have to follow the light, I insisted, trying to shake the disquiet off me. It's the only way, Lila nodded, determination setting her jaw, though the glimmer in her eyes reflected the unseen storm raging just beneath the surface. Together, we stepped toward the swirling remnants of the brightness, silence enveloping us as we entered deeper into the labyrinth that had become our desperate reality. As the light faded into navigable paths, I caught fragments of memories flickering at the corners of my consciousness, a childhood laughter, sunlight playing on a summer's day, moments flecked with a joy that felt almost foreign now. Each step pulled me further into the heart of uncertain memories, and I felt an ethereal connection wrapping around us, whispering the tales of lost moments. Suddenly, the light pulsed again, drawing us into an opening where we glimpsed remnants of a vibrant world, Ellie's laughter echoing through a cacophony of sounds, children playing, and an occasional glimpse of her spinning in delight, the sunlight dancing around her. But the vision split, and shadows began to encroach upon the joy, intertwining with her laughter, warping it until it hissed mockingly at us. Ellie. Lila's voice poured out with relentless urgency. We're coming, baby. But the scene began to twist like a double helix, memories and shadows intertwining until they were indistinguishable, a chaotic ballet of light and dark. Before I could comprehend what was happening, a figure emerged from the shadows, one that pulled the breath from my lungs. It was a distortion of the haunting figure from before, but eerily familiar. A face I had thought long lost to me, shadowed yet piercing. Mom? I choked, the name slipping from my lips like a ghost escaping the depths of my past. Her eyes met mine, a perilous mixture of recognition and sorrow. "How can this be, Jake?" she whispered, her voice threaded with grief. "It's been so long, and yet, here we are. Time bends in places like this." The reality of her presence prickled at my insides, my heart swelling and breaking all at once. "Where is Ellie?" Lila interjected, drawing closer, her tone sharper, not combative, but urgently protective. "What do you know? Ellie is tethered by the choices you've made," she replied cryptically, glancing at me, then shifting her gaze to the shadowy fragments swirling around us. "The paths you walk are influenced by truths you have ignored. Trouble brews when family is not honored, when shadows of secrets linger too long." "Secrets?" I echoed, confusion clouding my thoughts. "What do you mean? What did we do?" "We never. Not every choice is made with intent," she compelled softly, the shadows pulsating as if in response to her words. "Sometimes it is your heart that chooses for you, and you must be willing to confront the echoes that shape your fate." A hollow wind swept around us, spiraling with despair, and suddenly, the orbs of light flickered, growing dim once more as fear snaked its way back into my spirit. "I don't understand," I shouted, desperate for clarity as I anchored myself, holding Lila's hand tightly. "What does it mean? How do we save Ellie?" With each moment, the darkness thickened, wrapping around us like a suffocating cloak. "The choice is yours to unravel," my mother whispered, but her figure dimmed even as she spoke, shadows whispering her name, pulling her back. "Tread carefully, Jake. The truth is locked deep, and to find her, you must be willing to pay the price." And then she was gone, snatched away by the undulating shadows, swallowed into the void that had formed around us, leaving silence filled with entwined fears and fading hopes. As the darkness encroached upon my heart, I felt a sudden tightness around the edges of my being, each breath punctured by the weight of answers only hidden deeper. I could hear Ellie's laughter resonating in the distance, taunting the shadows that bound us. My pulse quickened with dread, and a sinking feeling settled deep within me. "Jake," Lila's voice broke through the haze. "Something is happening." As I turned to her, the light flickered once more, revealing another path unfolding before us. But it felt tangibly different, more dangerous. A fork in the road. A decision. Do we follow? Lila asked, the fear woven into her words agonizingly present. "I don't know," I whispered, my voice wavering, uncertainty gnawing at my resolve. Yet Ellie's laughter resounded once more, reverberating through the shadows, securing itself deep in my heart even as I dreaded its repercussions. "We must," I declared, breathing deeply into the darkness. "For Ellie." But as we stepped forward, the chilling realization settled: whatever choice we were about to make might sink us deeper into the shadows, or reveal truths we weren't yet prepared to face. The only certainty was that we were now teetering on the brink, a precipice over an emotional abyss. What secrets awaited us in the path ahead? And would we be able to bear the weight of the price that had to be paid? The air was thick with tension as we traversed the newly illuminated path, each step forward echoing with the weight of unspoken consequences. I felt the tug of anticipation mixed with trepidation, the fleeting hope of finding Ellie overshadowed by the myriad of fears lurking in the shadows. Lila clung to my side, her presence both a comfort and a reminder of the fragility of our situation. Glancing at her, I could see how the remnants of my mother's words had etched lines of uncertainty on her brow. "Jake," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper, "what if this choice leads us away from Ellie?" "I can't think like that," I replied, a mix of resolve and desperation in my tone. "She's close, I can feel it." The faint echoes of her laughter lingered, challenging me to move past my fears. I had no other choice but to believe, to push through the dark. As we stepped further into the luminous corridor, the light shifted, casting elongated shadows that twisted and curled like restless spirits. Just ahead, we saw a flickering doorway shimmering before us, the outlines hazy but beckoning. It flickered with familiar hues, like a kaleidoscope of memories I wasn't sure I was ready to confront. "Hold on," Lila said suddenly, pulling at my arm as she halted before the doorway. Her eyes sparkled with newfound determination, a spark flooding back into her spirit. "What if we can see moments we missed? Maybe if we can find what we lost, we can understand what we need to change. What do you mean? I asked, sensing both dread and excitement thrumming beneath my skin. Think about it, she urged, her excitement tempered by a cautious edge. We could see Ellie, we could see us before everything spiraled into chaos. That I hesitated, unsure what we might uncover. The shadows that enveloped us felt menacing, pressing against my chest as if they wished to suffocate my every thought. But a part of me longed to see, longed to chase after happiness captured in reflections we could seldom revisit. Maybe you're right, I finally said, my breath hitching with uncertainty. But we have to be careful, Lila. If the truth is hidden in our memories, what else could be obscured? Well, face it together, she insisted, squeezing my hand tighter, granting me strength even in the face of dread. In that moment, we stepped through the doorway, and the luminous light engulfed us. The warmth seeped into my being, flooding my senses. Suddenly, we were transported to a sun-drenched yard. Ellie giggling as she chased a butterfly, her laughter pure and untainted, floating through the air like music. I could hardly contain the surge of affection that washed over me. Look at her, Lila breathed, her eyes radiating love mingled with nostalgia. She's so happy. But as Ellie twirled in the sunlight, her innocence a stark contrast to the dark shadows that loomed at the edges of our vision, a creeping sense of unease began to unravel my joy. A shadow darted across the scene, distorting Ellie's carefree dance for just a moment. The laughter warped, turning sharp as it met the darkness threatening to consume it. Stay close, I whispered, pulling Lila to my side. There's something lurking here. We have to see it for what it is. As if summoned by our fears, a darker version of the scene unfolded before our eyes, memories distorted and shrouded in shadows. I saw myself arguing with Lila in a muted, sorrowful exchange, resentment souring our exchanges, regrets poisoning our intentions. The love that had once pulsed brightly between us now appeared frail, eclipsed by unspoken words and heavy silence. No, no, I muttered helplessly, guilt flooding my spirit. That's not how I remember it. This isn't the truth, Lila insisted, her voice trembling. We were trying to hold on, but something was breaking us long before. What did we miss? As if on cue, another memory flickered, revealing a moment I had buried deep. A heated argument in a dimly lit kitchen, my frustration bubbling over as I lashed out, my words sharper than I recalled, cutting into Lila's heart. Why can't you just understand? I shouted, the tension in the air palpable. This was not a moment of clarity, but one of bitterness, a chasm opening wider between us. I shouted aloud, the anguish clawing at my heart. That's not how it weighs, it can't be the truth. We were trying, but as I spoke, the shadows thickened, echoing my doubt. You were fighting against your own heart, a voice taunted from the darkness, resonating with a chilling familiarity. You neglected what mattered most. Who's there? Lila cried out, peering into the deepening shadows. There, lingering just at the edge of the light, I saw a figure emerge, a dark silhouette that betrayed my dread. A person who felt disturbingly familiar yet was shrouded in uncertainty, cloaked in the grief of unspoken truths. I am here to reveal your choices, Jake, the figure whispered, their voice warped yet echoing with a haunting clarity. To show you how the shadows tie you to your fate. Light flickered around us, battling against the encroaching dark as the memory began to swallow itself. I turned to Lila, terror written across her features, but before I could voice my fears, the figure stepped into the light, revealing a face I recognized. It was Ellie, her eyes an abyss of lost innocence, filled with a sorrow that seemed impossibly wise. In that moment, my heart dropped, a vice tightened around my throat. Ellie? I gasped, terror freezing me to the spot, but Ellie's form seemed to flicker, her expression contorting into a distress that shattered my heart all over again. In her gaze lay the weight of choices unmade, and a sacrifice awaiting. The price we had to confront loomed larger than ever. Daddy, you need to understand, she whispered, though her voice was drowning in shadows, spiraling away from me like etchings on glass. You have to face the truth before time runs out. And then, as abruptly as she had appeared, the light dimmed, leaving me standing in an abyss of swirling darkness, the implications of her words twisting in my mind. A chill settled within me, gripping my heart as every fear I had buried began clawing its way back to the surface. Jake, what are we missing? Lila breathed, desperation filling her voice as she sought my gaze. The shadows moved restlessly, detesting the vulnerability as I opened my mouth to respond, only to find the answers evaporating just out of reach. Fear had morphed into a tempest, and the price we would have to pay loomed ominously on the horizon, and in that moment, I understood, the road ahead was fraught with revelations, but the deepest shadows remained hidden, whispering secrets that could change everything we thought we knew. The air crackled with uncertainty as Lila and I stood in the dim light of those unsettling memories, each moment we faced slipping further from our grasp. I could feel the weight of Ellie's plea hanging heavily above us, echoing with an urgency that shattered my heart, a desperate call to confront the truth in whatever twisted form it would take. Jake, Lila whispered, her voice tremulous yet fortified by love. We have to dig deeper. Whatever we've neglected, it's what keeps us from her. I swallowed hard, uncertainty clawing at me. But what if we unearth something we can't bear? The shadow of dread loomed over me, casting doubt that clouded my senses. Perhaps what we can't bear is what we need to face, she said. We can't let our fears dictate our choices. For Ellie, for us, we must push forward. Taking a deep breath, I nodded, steeling myself against the memories that threatened to drown us. I had to trust in our bond, the love that had propelled us this far despite the shadows circling above. Okay, I said, my voice steadying. Let's go deeper. We stepped through the swirling darkness, the weight of the past dragging us along but spurred forward by the flickering light of hope. With each forgotten moment, I felt both nostalgia and pain intertwine, as though those memories brought with them glimpses of clarity veiled beneath our living shadows. Suddenly, the darkness shifted, rearranging itself until another scene broke through the hazy and ordinary day, but one where the fissures in our lives began to materialize. We stood in our living room, the hum of mundane life surrounding us. Lila knelt, smiling as she played with Ellie, her laughter lighting the space like sunshine cascading through windows. But beneath the surface, unseen fissures began to reverberate. Strangely, I felt a chill roll through me as I observed myself standing near the entrance. Fatigue clung to my shoulders while I scrolled through my phone, lost in an ocean of work emails that beckoned endlessly. Lila glanced up, her laughter breaking, replaced by a tightness in her gaze that I failed to notice at the time. It became painfully clear how the weight of my responsibilities had created a rift we had barely begun to acknowledge. No, I murmured, the knot in my gut tightening. I didn't mean to. I took her for granted. An echo of laughter shattered, twisting into a haunting silence. Jake! Lila's voice rang out sharply, drawing me back from the brink of despair. Do you see? It's not just the major battles, it's the little moments we let slip away. Before I could respond, our past began to twist again, spiraling deeper, exposing another fragment of our live-san argument juxtaposed against memories of love. Lila's eyes blazed with hurt as we stood in a darkened corner of the house, raising our voices over unspoken grievances, the walls trembling under the dark energy of our discord. You think I'm not trying? I'm drowning and you're not even here. Her voice cracked, and a small piece of me splintered with her. I am fighting for us. I shouted back, but the conviction of those words felt hollow even in remembrance. In my bravado, I missed the truth written between the lines, the erosion of connection and trust chipping away at the love sanctified in our hearts. This is what I was afraid would happen, Lila whispered, anguish spilling from her eyes. We were so locked in our own struggles, we didn't realize how far we were drifting apart. Her voice trembled, pulling me back to the gravitas of our situation. If only I could turn back time, I began, but found the words trailing off into the suffocating darkness. As if in response, the shadows twisted and roiled, congealing around us until the atmosphere hummed with tension. The past is already laid bare, a familiar voice crooned, a tone echoing the figure from before. I turned to face it once again, dread pooling in my stomach, but this time there was no flight. Everything you neglected has a consequence. My heart raced as I clutched Lila's hand tighter, the weight of its meaning pouring into my consciousness. You don't have power over us. I spat, anger igniting a fire within me. Power? It echoed, and for an instant, amusement flickered in its eyes like a dark flame. You misunderstand the depths of your choices. The price of love is never free, and where you have failed to choose wisely, consequences ripple through time. Lila stood unwavering beside me, the strength of our bond illuminating the path forward. What do you want from us? She demanded, her voice unwavering, rich with determination. The figure leaned forward, that same chilling smile cutting across its face. To understand who you are and who you are meant to become, you must face the truth. Should you succeed, perhaps you can salvage what was lost, and just like that, the shadows around us illuminated once more, revealing Ellie at the nexus of it all, her laughter echoing, painting the dulcet sound across the darkness that still loomed. She stood there simply, smiles spreading across her face, radiating innocence. Mommy. Daddy. Please come back. She called out, her figure flickering in and out. No, Ellie. I shouted, but before I could reach for her, the memory unfurled into chaos. We don't want to lose you. From that chaos, the shadows enveloped us. As the echoes of our past merged together, moments of warmth and connection with those of distance and pain, I felt a dawning realization settle deep inside me. The truth was entwined in every choice we'd made, each memory reflecting shards of joy mixed with moments we wished we could take back, together. Lila said quietly beside me, her strength pulsing against the dark. We can make things right, together, I echoed, feeling the fragility of hope bloom. We will fight for her, we will face it all. With newfound determination coursing between us, I took a step forward. The ground shifted, trembling as darkness pressed in, but that flicker of light from our bond began to illuminate the path ahead. I could feel the warmth of Ellie's essence resonating with us, igniting a fire to burn away the shadows that sought to consume. In that moment, I knew, no matter the price, I would face the truth, shaped by every choice that brought us here. The journey to mend what had been broken, to weave together the shattered remnants of our love, had just begun. As we moved deeper into the light, the echoes of the past began to fade and the darkness relinquished its hold, revealing a shimmering horizon, a chance at redemption, a promise to reclaim what was nearly lost. And with each step forward, I felt the rhythm of our family breath anew, embracing the path toward healing, toward love, unraveling secrets and binding us tighter in bonds that could not be severed. For in the end, love is a choice we must continually make, even amid shadows. As we pressed on, a glimmer of Ellie's laughter rang in the air, resonating with the truth that burned brightly. In the end, we found the courage to face what lay ahead, together, and just like that, I whispered to the universe, I choose love.